Hey everybody, welcome to Cinema Trip Reviews. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about The Last of Us, the brand new HBO TV show based on the 2022 Last of Us Part 1, which is based on The Last of Us Remastered, which is based on a 2013's Last of Us original game. This has been in the works for a while, like a lot of other video game adaptations that have been in the works. It's been just hasn't, formulated right over time, and then of course it landed with HBO. And of course, you got Pedro Pascal, who's a huge name. He's in Mandalorian. He was in Game of Thrones. I mean, he's been in a ton of different stuff. He was in that movie with Nick Cage, this past year. But I mean, the other Bella Ramsey, I'm pretty sure her name is. She was in Game of Thrones as well. She was great in that. First off, before we get into the actual show, what is your history? Because I'm a huge fan of the games. What about yourself?
Also huge fan. It is one of the last games I played on my PS3 when I owned it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I bought it for my PS4 because I didn't own it from my PS3. I rented it from Redbox or something. And then I was like, I got to get this game. So I went back, bought it again. Second one I didn't beat, but I did like while I was playing it. The Abby scenes kind of took me out of it and I just never went back.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a terrible video game player. I still haven't even beat God of War yet, so I'm just not that good of a video game player.
Yeah, the first one is amazing, and I know this first season
Amazing.
seems like it's pretty much going to be that whole first game,
Yeah,
which is going to be amazing. And we'll get into that eventually. I really enjoyed part 2. I definitely can understand a lot of people's issues with it. It is very weird going from you're sticking with these main characters the whole time and then just going off to a completely different character for pretty much half of the game. So
yeah,
it's a little jarring, but by the end of it, man, I feel like it works. But I mean, that's a conversation for another time. Who knows? I mean, it seems
season 2.
Exactly. I mean, Neil Druckmann, the creator of, he's like the co-president of like Naughty Dog, and he's created Last of Us. Apparently, they're working on part 3 right now, but he said that the show isn't going to go past or go outside of the games at any point. It's not going to pull a Game of Thrones because the Game of Thrones series wasn't done by the time the show was done. But this one, it's going to be taking place within the games itself. It's not going to go outside of those boundaries. So it's going to be interesting to see like the time jump between this season and then if they do the part 2, and then who knows what part 3 will be.
I'm with you that it shouldn't go past the games, but I don't know if in that quote they couldn't do in between the games because there is a big jump between the two games.
That's true.
But we will see. I have also heard rumors that HBO is going to put some money up to get the third and the fourth one going. Like you gotta get us content. I mean, obviously, depending on one doing, which so far from what the reviews I'm reading, it's doing very well. At least the first episode. But let's dive straight into that first episode.
The first episode of the season of this whole series is called When You're Lost in the Darkness. And it's kind of like alluding to like the fireflies and everything. But man, I was surprised on how loyal and faithful this sticks to the game. Like it's at beat for beat at times, and same exact shots you see from the game, which is really cool how they incorporated that in.
Which is great. Did you watch it with Annette? I know I watched it with Marissa.
I did. And it's funny because I believe it was when part 2 came out, the game, I was telling her all about it. I was showing her like some certain cutscenes, and like she's been interested. And I even like when they announced the show, I told her about it. So like she was kind of excited to watch it, and she's interested to see how it goes because she doesn't know a lot of the main stuff. I didn't spoil anything for her.
Oh, Marissa, like when I was telling her when part 2 came out, I was the same thing. Just, you're excited about your new video game. Telling Marissa, she couldn't give 2 shits about it. She's like, like, yeah, that's great. And now she watched episode 1. She's like, oh, this is good. I'm like, I know. Like, I'm telling you, you're going to get into it. Yeah. So I'm excited to go on this journey with her, which calls back to some of these scenes. It's so good to see in the show that some of these shots are just exactly the feelings that I got playing the game. I'm feeling them watching this show too. I'm just like, oh yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and I like how I know a lot of people were complaining about some of the filler or like some of the stuff, but I mean, you're talking about a game they had to spread out into like 10 hours. I'm assuming there's 10 episodes to this season. So, I mean, you're going to have to kind of fill in some gaps, fill in some spaces here. And I actually liked some of those things, like the beginning where you see like Joel's daughter going and getting his watch fixed for him, and some of the backstory, like what she did during the day, because in the game you kind of you find out it's his birthday and it's that night. She wakes up, he comes home and everything, that you go from there. But then you have like the extra, like her going and visiting the neighbors and helping take care of that elder lady. And it gets creepy, man. Like whenever she goes and visits her and you see her like kind of stroking out in the background, it's like, what is going on? And then she's normal when she goes past
it's almost
her again.
horror movie. It becomes almost a horror movie at some points.
Yeah. But I think it tweaks it just enough, and I think it gives you, especially fans of the game, a little bit more information that maybe you couldn't find out. You didn't have time to see in the game.
Well, I don't think it's a fair criticism. And listen, we're critics the same. I guess everybody gets their own opinion, but I don't think it's fair criticism to be like, oh, there's too much filler. A video game is filled with different stuff. If I'm watching Joel just sneak through a fucking thing for 30 minutes, that'd be a boring episode. But in a game, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is cool. I'm doing it. So you got to fill it with like different material. So I think I'm with you. I think the filler was fine. I think the filler.
I saw an interview with somebody. I don't know if it was Pedro Pascal or one of the like producers or whatever. They said like it's hard to have a 50-year-old guy like squatting and like crouching and walking for 10, 15 minutes. You're not going to see that the majority of the season. You just can't do it.
Speaking of that, though, I am excited, and I hope they do it. I'm excited if they do that supersonic hearing that Joel has, where like he can see the room, in the video game.
That would be weird. Yeah,
I just want to see him do it.
He like puts his ear to the wall or something.
And it like scans it like just once. I know it's kind of a pullback, but I'm just like, I just want that like reference to the video game just one time.
Yeah, I mean they had like the melee weapons in there. He comes out with that wrench and he smashes that lady with it. Even like when they're driving in the car, like him, his daughter, and Tommy, when they're trying to get out of the city, it's that exact camera shot of like her in the back seat, like what you saw through the game, and like looking at the burning house or like the burning farmhouse. It's a lot of the stuff just pulled directly from the game, even like him running through the streets after that like plane crashes and everything. It's crazy how they recreated it.
I gotta say, and not that I have a problem with it, I'm just gonna make a comment on it, where they recasted Joel's daughter as a black girl, which is fine. She's an African-American woman, which is no problem to me. But then weirdly enough, they bring it up later in the show where Ellie asked the one girl, she's like, are you my mom? She's like, do I look like your mom? And I'm like, well, that was weird. To separate the two. Like Joel can be her dad, but she can't be her mom. Like it's the same thing.
I mean, I think Joel's Pedro Pascal has some ethnicity to him, though.
Oh, he definitely has some.
And who knows what the mom looks like either, too. But yeah, I understand what you mean.
That was just weird. And again, I have no problem with the recast. No problem at all. I'm not saying that. That's fine to me. It was just a weird comment that they put in the same episode for me. I was like, it was weird.
Even like the added beginning, like the very beginning, the way it starts off with like a 60, like a broadcast in like the 60s. And you could tell not just by the old dated sets that they had, but you could they're smoking on live TV back then. But they're talking about like the potential of like the fall of humankind, or like what the apocalypse or something's going to be. And like he says it's like going to be like a fungus. It's not going to be like a virus. It'll be like an actual fungi. And like they're laughing at him, saying it's preposterous. But he says like if the world heats up, pretty much blaming like global warming is going to be the cause of everything. But it's interesting. But like from what I remember, you didn't get that in the game at all. This is just for the show, and I like that they kind of predicted it years and years ahead of time.
The lead into it, yeah, for sure. I thought they were gonna do when I was watching it, I was like, is this gonna be an Uncharted reference? Because Uncharted referenced The Last of Us before The Last of Us came on. So I was like, are they gonna do an Uncharted reference to make a Last of Us reference? But they didn't, which I thought would have been cool.
Yeah.
If I was the director, I would have.
But then you have that huge time jump to like 2003, and that's
lots of time jumps in this.
Yeah, to 2003, and that's when you get everything. You're following Joel's daughter around while he's out working and everything. But I love like just even with the 2003 and when it jumps into the future, just kind of watching like the background. I feel like there's stuff always going on in the background of when they're like walking around, or like because you're just kind of waiting for something to happen. Like as she's walking around the streets, you see like the fire trucks and cop cars flying or driving by real fast. People are locking their doors. She gets kicked out of that shop where she's getting the watch fixed. They're closing early and everything. Like something's going on, and they're kind of just seeping it into her life throughout the day. It's interesting. And then, everything just goes to hell at night.
Getting into that when she we're gonna be a little scattered. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
I'm so excited about this first episode. Like I'm living. I'm about to watch it again. I was almost gonna go to the game store to buy the remake of the PS5 version of
I
Last
thought
of
of it,
Us
dude.
today.
I
Me
as soon as it
too.
goes down in price, I'm gonna scoop it because I want to play it
Yeah,
again after
I want
watching
to
it.
exactly. That's the kind of hype I'm living on right now. And I'm watching this scene of even the watch and the people going through, and when she goes to the peoples at night, the I don't know if it does this in the game, but like the things coming out of the grandma's mouth when she's like attacking the people, was
Yeah.
that in the game?
I don't
Like,
remember, to be
if
honest.
not, if not, fantastic addition. I love it. It's very like fungal,
It's
very like
weird, yeah.
it's rooty, like there's like roots in it. It's awesome. It was a good scene. Marissa was so scared of that scene that and when we all kind of do it, but when Marissa's scared, she pulls up her phone and plays on her phone because she just needs to like disconnect herself
Yeah,
from it.
yeah.
And like I'm like she picked it up at that scene. I was like, all right, here we go.
I'm excited to see some more of that stuff going throughout the
Hmm.
season. Like just that the atmospheric horror, just especially with the clickers where you can't make any noise, just sneaking around. It's going to
Yeah,
be interesting to see what they incorporate from the games when it comes to that too.
we only got a little bit of the clicker kind of fungus thing in this episode, which
Yeah.
is fine. I do they build up enough.
Yeah.
Especially like that guy to the wall and stuff
Yeah, that was really
later in the
cool.
episode. It was very cool, I thought. It almost looked
It
practical.
did. It looked very practical. Like it looked like pretty much a majority, like other than like the landscapes, like the screen landscapes. It
Yeah.
looked like a lot of it was practical, like the sets and everything, as far as like them walking through those towns and stuff. They
And
did a
if they
really good
weren't
job with it.
if they weren't practical, it was very good CGI. Like
Yeah,
I was pretty convinced about it.
HBO threw some dough into the into the show.
Good, good. It deserves it. This is one of the best games of all time. It deserves the dough to get thrown into it.
Yeah, for sure, man. And knowing the story that we know, 'cause playing the games, you know what was going to happen with
Yeah.
with his daughter and everything. And
Still
even
made
though
me
you
tear
know
up.
it's going to happen, it still made me tear up, and it hits you a little differently because it's like real, and you have a
Mhm.
little bit more time with the daughter. You get to know these characters a little bit more, so it's just like, oh man, and it happens the same exact way too. It's like, damn,
Almost, yeah, again, almost shot for shot, and you're just like, ooh, like, yeah, it
yeah.
was
And then it
good.
just cuts just like 20 years later, and I'm like, damn, 20 years. It's 2023. Like, holy shit. And
Do
they
you
go
think they
from like
did?
Texas, and now they're in the Boston like safe haven or whatever it is.
Because they have to go cold, and I told Marissa, I was like, yeah, they got to go cold because he definitely said in the beginning that it would benefit from warm weather. So I would imagine all the warm weather countries are out of it. Like the fungus would benefit from warm weather.
Yeah.
So they have to come up north, like get where it's cold
I
out.
think they should have saved the title. But talking about the title itself, HBO did it again. HBO is phenomenal with doing these title sequences from like Game of Thrones to like Westworld and so on and so forth. But
That's
the
more you,
opening to
yeah.
this was great, and not only that, we get the music from the games too. They use the same exact music, which is integral to the story, and like it's great, man. I love it. They bring the same exact atmosphere like you're playing the game.
So you think they should have saved the title till after the daughter got shot?
Yeah, like when it goes
All
to that
right.
black there, then you introduce Last of
Then
Us
the
or like
Last
the
of Us,
title and
like
stuff.
the
It would have been
fungus
long.
growing.
You would have been waiting a minute for it, but I feel
Oh
like it
well.
would have been a better impact instead of just going to black and then cut like 2023.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I feel like if you hit that music there too and everything, it would have been great.
I actually agree with that. I'm actually okay with that. I think you would almost had to cut the 60s scene, which would have been fine with me too. But not that I don't like the 60s scene. But you could have cut that, did the whole daughter story,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I
then
know what you're
jumped
saying.
straight in. I'm with that. I think that would have been a good segue into it.
But yeah, I mean Pedro Pascal's great in this too. I mean we haven't seen enough of him, but you've seen him already with like a wide variety of emotions. Like
How does
through
this
these
dude
first-
just
this
look
first
like
episode.
Joel? This dude just looks like Joel, right?
It took me a minute, like when it jumped to 2023, because like they straight up just like spray
Grade him.
painted this dude's hair, like put that spray like.
I think he
Halloween.
looks like Joel, man.
He does. I mean, they gave him like the exact same clothes and stuff that he wears too, like with the backpack and everything.
Oh
when they go to
yeah. He looks more like Joel than Ellie looks like Ellie.
She sounds like Ellie, I feel.
Oh
too.
yeah, her attitude is Ellie. I almost was hating on this when I first went into it because I didn't like Bella Ramsey. I'm pretty sure is the actress who plays her. I didn't love her look. I was like, she doesn't look like Ellie. But watching the first episode, man, she acted like Ellie sometimes. I'm like, that's Ellie. Like,
Hmm.
good for her. So I like that. I do like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think she was great as Ellie. She, like you said, I mean, at first it was a little jarring because I mean they just cut straight to her being chained up in that room, just cussing
Yeah.
them out, and then going through like that daily routine that they have. There's like a little secret. There's a reason they're holding her and they're keeping her alive and everything. But you have like the leader of the Fireflies, like Marlene. You're finding out. I mean, they just say that they're a terrorist group. You don't really know what they really do at that point. Through this episode, they just call them like a terrorist group and they're radicals. But they're like going out and blowing up like buildings and stuff. They have a section of Boston just quarantined with walls, and everybody has like their own jobs for the day. They get their like tickets or meal tickets or whatever they are, or ration cards. It's crazy. And like Joel is like hustling pills and stuff on the side, like just to save up money to get a car. And then he's like him and what's her name? His like partner Teresa. That's her name.
Teresa,
yeah, they're trying to get like a battery, and they're working together and everything. And the one dude like gyps, and that's where you find Teresa. She's like got beat the hell up. Yeah, she got double crossed with that battery, and the dude's just trying to make sure that like Joel doesn't come after him or like nothing bad's gonna happen to him because he says it was all a misunderstanding, and then just shit just pops off, explosions, gunfire, and everything.
But he's just afraid of Joel. I like that actor too. I don't know his name, but I like that actor.
I've seen him in some other stuff. Yeah,
I think he's in Lost. If I'm remembering correctly. I mean, again, I didn't look him up, but I'm pretty sure he's in Lost.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a long episode. It was like an hour and a half, pretty much, like for the first episode.
I expected.
Yeah, but they throw a lot of information at you, like just between like who Joel is, like just not like pre-Joel, like pre-apocalypse Joel, and then after apocalypse Joel. Then you get introduced to Teresa, of course Ellie, and some of these other characters. Tommy, he's not even there. He got sent on a mission to like Montana, they're saying, and
Wyoming.
Yeah, and Joel's worried about him because he normally checks in within like a week, he said, I'm pretty sure, and he hasn't checked in a while. He's worried about him. That's part of the reason he wants to get a car or a truck so he can get out of there and look for him. And they say it a couple times, but you're not allowed to leave the area. I mean, they're hanging people for leaving. Yeah. It's crazy. But like it's super strict there, and you don't really know what it's like outside of those walls for the most part. And it was heartbreaking, like when they show you when it cuts to that 2023 and it shows that kid just finding the compound and they test him, and
that was good.
They make him feel like everything's gonna be all right. We're gonna get you lots of toys and we'll get food, whatever you want or whatever. And then it just cuts them throwing bodies in the fire. Like kid was infected, they had to put him down. It's like, damn, man.
And I love that scene where the girl's just like, I can't do it. Like, you have to do this. Like, and I mean, you would have to do that in that situation. That's hard. And we all think we're all sitting here like we'd survive the apocalypse, but that's the nitty gritty of the apocalypse.
It's hard, man.
That's shit.
And especially like it's hard within those walls, but especially like outside of the walls, they're talking about like the dude warns them about like there's like raiders, there's slavers, there's like tons of bad people out there, and then you have the clickers and the monsters and everything. So it's like this is one thing after another, man. And I'm interested to see where they go with like the additions and stuff. Yeah, what they add to the story.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And to piggyback on that, I know you said Annette has not played the game, so I've been talking to Marissa about like what is coming up. I had a hard time not telling Marissa like what was going on. Like I almost wanted to.
The only thing I told her before they said it really in the show was she's like, "What's so special about her?" And I was like, "She's immune. She's like she could be the key to curing all this. Like she's been bit and she just hasn't turned. She can't be turned." Again,
piggybacking on, I feel like they brushed over that real quick. She was like panicking. It was a real quick scene. And I'm like, I feel like they should have like lingered on that.
Because all it has is like that Marlene or whatever telling her like, I got something to tell you. You can't tell anybody else. Like this is between me and you. And then like she doesn't even tell Joel at first. Like because Joel even asks her like, what the hell's so special? Or, like, are you like a bigwig's daughter or something?
Yeah, no, and the scene, I mean, we're getting to the end of the episode now, but the scene where Joel does find out, I thought was a little rushed because it is a big deal in the game. Like, okay, she's immune. Like Joel gets it. This felt very rushed. So I hope
they'll probably pick up, like right at the beginning of that one. because they had
exactly.
to leave. They had to get the hell out like pretty
Yeah.
immediately. But like speaking on that, like the dude that he was selling the pills to told him like fireflies are out. Make sure you're not out after dark or whatever. And then sure enough, he's the dude keeping guard that night when they go to escape.
Oh, and I love
And
it.
he
I
like
love
has
when
this
he
flashbacks of like his daughter and everything, like the dude holding the gun up to him, and he goes off and he just beats the hell out of that guy, man.
he
That's
goes, which
Joel.
I hope they show more. They almost made it seem like
Mm-hmm.
Joel didn't want to be this person, which I don't think they should lean into that. They need to lean into the Joel is willing to do whatever it takes because, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but that really is going to benefit episode 9 if they do the whole game in one season. That's going to benefit the last episode. You have to establish Joel's willing to do whatever it takes.
Yeah, I mean that's why they showed like that woman couldn't throw the body in. Like it's just a kid,
Exactly.
and he just picks it
Joel's,
up and just throws it in. He was gonna kill Ellie before they told him not to because she attacked him. Like, yeah,
they need to lean heavier on that. Don't, and I'm cool with the flashbacks. I get why they're doing it, but I don't need it as much. Like let Joel be ruthless. It's kind of his character.
Yeah, he's been living in this world for 20 years. You have to give him like that hard exterior shell. You have to break through. That's the point of the game, pretty much. Him building this relationship with Ellie.
For sure. No, I'm with that.
Reason that he's with Ellie to begin with is the person that double-crossed them was also double-crossing them with the fireflies, and that's like he went back to catch them. Like they went back to get that battery and to possibly kill that dude that betrayed him and everything, and then they end up running into them. And she got like shot or stabbed, and she can't go, but she's sending them out to Wyoming because they got to get Ellie out there because they have like the Firefly base or whatever. That's where like the labs are. Pretty much, that's where they would handle like the surgery. Well, we don't know all this.
We don't know that yet.
We know it because we played the game, but they gotta get her like to Wyoming or Montana or wherever. They send Joel, like that's the dude, and he's already on his way out anyway. So I mean, it's just an escort mission, pretty much.
Which it sounds awful as a gamer, but man, it's a good escort mission.
And she said, like, I'll even get you a car too. Don't worry about it. I'll get you a nice truck or like the organization like issued car or whatever.
Fedra is up called
Fedra or something like that. Yeah, she's like, I'll get you like a Fedra truck or something. He's like, all right, we'll see. They peace out. They end up going in the cover of night, sneaking under the buses and under the cars and stuff. It was really cool. And then they get in like the shootout, and not the shootout, but they run into some trouble.
Yeah. It was a lot of build up in this first episode, which is good. Is good. It needed it. I almost feel like this would have benefited from dropping the first 2 episodes, maybe. And we just live in the modern age where I want everything now. Like I want the whole
for the second one.
Yeah,
Come
exactly.
on,
it's bullshit. So I almost feel like they should drop maybe the first 2 or 3 episodes right today. Like I would have been more into that because I felt like it. Oh, I just want so much more, man. I really loved this episode, and it makes me want to jump to episode 2, not season 2, episode 2.
Yeah.
So I feel like they should have dropped 2 of them.
I know what you mean. I think it was very, very faithful. I mean, we haven't really seen a comic, not a comic, but a video game adaptation like this. Like, stay so true and so faithful to the source, I feel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, not to get off, but it gives me faith for the God of War. Like
we'll see. I hope.
Well, if this episode reflects on what the rest of the season will be, I'm 100% down. 9.5 out of 10. I'm happy with this shit. This was such a good, like you said, there were shot to shot episodes shot for shot shots that I was like, oh my God, that's the game. And that it filled my heart with joy. But also Annette, Marissa, who didn't play the game, were watching this, and it's still good to them. They're still watching this like, oh, this is awesome.
Because it's still unique. Because even within the game at that point, like, it was like unlike any game at that point. That's why it was so huge. It was just like a cinematic story that you play, and it has a lot of shots that maybe you wouldn't do normally within like a movie or a TV show.
It translates well. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
And as we get further into gaming, and this is a whole different conversation, maybe we can have another day on your channel, but like, obviously it's easier to adapt this into a movie than it is Mario, you know, like
Oh
Mario's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Hey,
yeah,
go
for
save the
sure.
princess."
Yeah.
It's like it's an easier adaptation, but that doesn't matter. You know, Hollywood's fucked up tons of things, so it's awesome that Hollywood HBO is getting this right. They're getting it right
Yeah, and I
so far.
like how they're setting Ellie up. Like they're hinting about like what she's capable of. Like
Yep,
they obviously show you that she's hot headed. I mean, she goes at Joel like trying to protect like whatever her name, the leader of the
Marlene.
Fireflies, Marlene. She comes at her with that knife, and she doesn't want to lose that knife. And they even hint at like her backstory a little bit. I think they mentioned Riley. They name drop Riley at one point.
Yep, they
That'll
do.
come into play. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure that
That
comes
was
into play eventually.
that was a DLC, but I hope it at least is some like flashbacks. We get the Ellie Marley or no,
Riley.
what was her Riley,
Yeah,
Ellie or Riley, like because that's a good DLC. So I hope we get that.
yeah, I think we will get that, and they also like show how smart she is because she comes in is looking through like his like Billboard chart book, and she solves that like immediately. Like these are codes, and then she
Yeah.
finds out like the '80s songs have like a different message. Like the one that was playing or whatever is like "Get out," like you gotta go, like
Now,
something's going on.
be honest with me. I'll be honest with you. I did not know that was an '80s song. I had to Google it. I was like, "Is this an '80s song? Is this what this means?" And I Googled it to know if that was an '80s
Yeah,
song. You knew it? I didn't
the
know the
first one
song.
I did. I didn't know the second one that played.
The one that plays in the outro,
No, I didn't
like the
know that
one
one.
I didn't know that. I had to Google that one. I
I
was like,
didn't
I
know
think
that one.
they're hinting that it's trouble.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't know it either.
That's the first time that Joel's kind of seeing like what she's capable of and who she is as a character and everything. But
Oh,
I
for sure.
think this was a fantastic start to the whole
Yep.
series, and I mean, especially it's going to be hard to keep us on our toes. And I'm looking forward to see what they're doing a little differently. That way, maybe like an ending to an episode is like a different twist than what we're used to, or something
Yeah.
different. I'm interested to see where the different twists and turns that they incorporate. But I mean, I'm sure they're gonna have those huge story beats like throughout the game, like
I don't know.
the scene for
I
scene type things.
I agree with you, but that's where I'm going to piggyback on the scene for scene things is I feel like people who haven't seen this show or haven't played the games are going to be more invested in the story. Where if they keep up what they've been doing, us as people who've played the games, yeah, we know how this is going to end. We know where the end goal is,
Yeah,
but we're like excited to see like how how exact are they going to get this? How are they going to translate this to film, which is
hmm
going to make me excited? Which in this episode, some of the shots that were translated to film got me excited. Like where I was
yeah.
like, "Holy shit! Like
If they
that's
could do
awesome!"
this, what else are they
Exactly.
gonna do from like I imagine the whole series, like the last episode, the very end ending exactly how the
Oh,
game ended, and you're like,
exactly.
what?
You're
I
like,
have to
I
wait
want to
another
feel
like
that.
2 years or whatever for this season two or
In
whatever.
season two, exact. Even the person stuck on the wall, the fungus, like how good that looked, has me so excited for just. And I hope they do more than one scene, but at least one scene, and I know they'll do it, of them sneaking with clickers. You kind of alluded to it earlier, just like
hmm
sneaking around with like clickers moving
Throw a
everywhere.
bottle across the room or to distract them or something.
Exactly. I even said something to Marissa when he picks up the machine gun. I was like, I didn't get a machine gun in the game. Like, what the hell? He got a machine gun? Like, no. I even was
Yeah,
talking to
cheat
Marissa
codes got like early in the game, got that machine gun.
early in the game. But I was even telling Marissa about how, like, I'm excited to see, and this hopefully is a later episode, is the scene where the cannibal tribe, and that guy's trying to, like, take
Yeah.
advantage of Ellie and she's sneaking around the counter. I'm like, if that
Yeah,
scene
like the whole like restaurant or whatever, sneaking
Yep,
between those
and
tables and
she's,
stuff.
like, stabbing him in the legs and then running away. I'm like, if they can duplicate that scene, like, that's such an impactful scene for
Oh
you
yeah.
as a
And then
gamer,
not
so
only that, but like without spoiling it, like just Joel going through that facility, bro. Like
oh,
towards the end,
yeah,
like that's gonna be nuts if
it's
they
gonna be
do that.
awesome.
It's gonna be
So
crazy.
so that's where I feel like the thrive is for people who have watched it to see, like, are they gonna do this? Like, are they gonna keep it faithful
Oh
and
yeah.
good? So that's what
It's
I'm
gonna be
excited for.
heartbreaking at times, especially like through
I'm
like
excited
towards the
for
end
it.
of the season, and then you get into part two. Like if they do season two as part two, it's
Mhm.
gonna break your heart damn near every week. You're gonna be
Man,
crying.
oh man, if they do part 2 season like if they do part 2 as season 2, episode 2, episode 1's gonna break your heart. Like, it's gonna break your heart.
You're like, what am I gonna do?
I don't want to watch this. We're gonna have just as many people mad about season 2 as we had about part
They're
2.
gonna do it exactly like the game, and people are like, "Oh God,
freaking out."
haters gonna be out in full force.
Hell yeah! No,
I'm
man,
down for it though. I hope this opens up for more video game adaptations like this that are taken more seriously. And I think part of the reason that it's done like this and so faithfully is because Neil Druckmann like is the producer and signed on to like he's pulling the strings as the showrunner.
Good,
I'm pretty sure.
as he should be. Why don't you pull in these people like who have love for the games to do this? I mean, as it should be,
accurate as possible.
Yeah, for sure. And listen, and we alluded to it earlier, the Super Mario movie, I like it for how bad it is, but like it's not a good video game adaptation.
But at least they're going in the right direction, it seems, with the new one.
Well, yeah, hopefully. I'm actually excited for the new one. I think it looks pretty cool. I mean, casting choices aside, but whatever. I'm not that worried about it. But no, I am excited for the age of good video game media, and I'm excited for that. And this isn't the first step, but it seems like a good step towards it.
Exactly. And like you mentioned before, we got God of War. Who knows what else is on the horizon? I mean, Legend of Zelda has been like
rumored forever.
Ever since that, like, what was it, like 2007, or like the fake trailer that came out on like April Fool's Day all those years ago. But I mean, there's so many things like that should have been cool too. Like Max Payne would have been a dope ass movie if you would have did it right.
Wasn't, but it wasn't. It should have did it right. Yeah.
But if you would have did it right, it would have been awesome.
Yeah, it could have been a noir type film,
Exactly.
And it would have been great.
That's something you could remake and do really well. They still can't get Resident Evil right, so that's probably never gonna get right. They should probably just move on, do something else.
I feel like that's a little convoluted to get right at this point.
Like, this one is like you're basing it off a game that's like already pretty much a movie, so it's very easy to adapt.
Exactly. Resident Evil might be just we might need to move on to let's do a Dino Crisis movie.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Do something different. I was gonna say Silent Hill, and then I was like, shit, there's already like 2 Silent Hills before.
I don't mind the Silent Hill movie though. The first one, I don't mind it.
I didn't like the second one.
Fine. The second one, yeah, I get it, but the first one isn't great. It's not like to this level of Last of Us.
It's okay though.
It's fine. Another episode, but we'll get there.
Yeah. But I'm very looking forward to see what they do here going forward. But I mean, just based off of the first episode here, I mean, should give you all the confidence in the world, especially with how true they're sticking to the source material.
I have all the confidence in the world. I'm with you. I think you can flesh out some characters that didn't get fleshed out in the game. I think that Pedro Pascal, I didn't get onto him when he was in Game of Thrones. I know he was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I never watched Game of Thrones, so that's on me. But I did watch Mandalorian. I watched Wonder Woman, and I was like, man, this guy's great.
I think all the time, like, does he ever, other than like the scenes where he takes his helmet off, does this dude ever wear the suit? Like, or is this just a stunt man in the Mando suit, and then he just does the voiceover for him? Like,
I have no idea.
Does Pedro Pascal ever just wear act in the suit?
Yeah.
Other than when he actually has to take his helmet off on like the 2 occasions, but like, I feel like other than that, it's just eat gravy job. He's just going in there and just recording voiceover, and they just
no way. I think he wears it.
I think a stunt guy wearing the suit at all times.
No, I think he wears it. I think Pedro's cool. This dude was born to play a fatherly figure, though. This is the second series I've seen with him because of Mando and this, where I'm like, man, this dude's born to play a father.
Got him the role for this. They're like, did you see him in Mandalorian? He took care of that.
Dad.
Yeah, he took care of that baby. He can take care of Ellie.
He can take care of Ellie. He'd be great. And he, again, kind of looks like Joel. Like, enough that I'm willing to separate it. Like, where I'm like, oh, that guy kind of looks like Joel. And you're right. When he's putting the backpack on and it's the shirt that he wears, you're just like, shit. Like, there it is. There's the fucking Joel I know. Yeah,
I'm interested to see, like, oh, man, just some of the recreations, like them on horseback going through the snow. And like seeing the giraffe, I wonder if that's going to be in like the show at some point. It
has to be though. That's one of the best scenes to develop. Like that he's treating her like his daughter now. Like that's his daughter to him. That it has to have it.
It has to. That's like middle of the season.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be in there though.
Of the way through or something.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to it though, and it's like every Sunday, like 9:00. So I mean, it sucks we gotta wait a week, but I mean, I kind of like it though. Like. it's better. To me, it's better than just binge watching them all in one, and then you're like, shit, I wish I had more, and you got to wait for 2 years. This kind of like makes you wait, take it all in, savor it a little bit.
It's easier for this show too.
Yeah, true that. True that. I'm not sure if we'll be doing a review for each episode, like per se, maybe every other episode, or maybe once it's done, maybe do a kind of a recap of the whole shebang bang or whatnot. I don't know. We'll figure something out though.
We'll figure it out. But if you want, I'm here for all of it because I'm loving it so far.
Definitely, man. Definitely, I'm all in on it. This is because I've been looking for a TV show to watch. This is perfect.
So everybody hasn't seen it and is watching this, go watch it. Go watch this. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I feel. I mean, we covered some of the basic plot points, but nothing is huge spoilery at this point. I mean,
No.
I mean, you're getting into the thick of it going forward now, like what's going to happen. But I mean, we get Ron Swanson going like in one of the episodes.
I can't wait for Ron Swanson. He's coming.
I think he plays Bill. I think that's the dude's name, like one of his old friends. He has like his own little compound. I'm pretty.
The whole. I always remember the scene where he pulls him up and you're by the fridge and you're shooting people.
Yeah.
I hope.
I think he has like that booby trap like compound and stuff. Yeah. It's gonna be cool to see that.
Yeah, I'm very excited, man. I'm excited for all of this. It has started off so fantastic.
Out of like a 10, what would you give it?
Oh man, I'm riding high. I mean, I just watched it, so I would give it. Man, I'd give it an easy 9.5. I think that's an easy one. I think it's almost a 10 for what it is. I think it's great. Cinematography, the direction, the acting, all of it's great.
Yeah. I would probably say around a 9.5 as well. 9.5. And you can definitely tell he put the money into it because not once did I feel like it was like felt cheap at any point. Like it didn't feel like it was cheap effects or like you could tell it was like, I mean, if you look closely, you could do like, obviously it's green screen, but for the most part, everything was blended well. It looked great. The shots were great. They took a lot of the amazing moments from the game. It's a perfect start to a season. And I mean, it's such a legendary game at this point. I'm very excited for the rest of the season here.
I do want to give a quick shout out. They're doing a podcast. I have not listened to it yet, but they're doing a podcast with Troy Baker, who is the voice of Joel, the original voice. They're doing a podcast after each episode, like kind of like The Talking Dead. I don't know what it's called, but look, I know that podcast.
I saw that both of them are going to be in the show at some point. The girl who plays Ellie and Joel and Troy Baker.
Joel?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they're both going to be in the show at some point. Anything else you want to add here, Alex?
No, man. Watch it. Just watch it.
And speaking of watch it, if you haven't already, go out and check our last episode out. We reviewed Friday the 13th, part 1 and 2 for Friday the 13th last week. Definitely go check that one out. That we had a blast filming that one, talking about them. We're looking forward to do that here again later in the year. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to go check us out on Instagram and on Twitter at Cinema Trip Reviews. Go check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Pretty much available anywhere. Where can people find you here, Alex?
You can find me on the Tap That channel. We are booting back up, fresh new year. And as always, I love being on here, so look for me on here. I'm still waiting for that shirt, Wyatt.
I got to get you one, man. I know. I got to get you a Cinema Trip shirt. It's coming.
I'm an honorary. I'm almost a co-host at this point. Come on.
You are at this point. I got to get you one.
No, I love being on it. Thank you for having me, Wyatt. I love talking about this stuff with you. But that's where you can find me, guys.
All right. And as always, we'll see you next week.